Welcome, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. You are now tuned in to Difficult People Chronicles. I'm your host, SF Johnny, seriously focused Johnny. Today's episode is a message and a Q&A. How are you going to show out? So, some time ago, I went to a session where the pastor talked about how are you going to show up in the world, you know? And he was basically talking about your behavior. So, this morning, which is like sometime after, what came to me is how are you going to show out? So I said to myself, when it came to me, I was like, oh, that's what the pastor was talking about. But then as I started reading my Bible and reading other religious books and going through some things, my notes, it came up again. How are you going to show out? Then I left the house and I went to my first appointment. And then I was in the kitchen a few minutes ago. Just got finished doing my mother's hair. And it came up again. How are you going to show out? And what came to me was when when you start to see the deliverance of what God promised. For some of you all, it may be financial breakthrough. For some of you all, it may be promotions. It may be marriage. It may be something like being healed. And you see God come through. How are you going to show out? And the reason why the words were, how are you going to show out? Is because how are you going to show the world what God has done for you? And what came to me was other than a testimony. How are you going to show out? What is going to be the big celebration that you show the world what God has done for you? Now, here's the thing. Showing out, for example, if someone out there was sick, went to God in prayer, and then God answered their prayers and they are healed, is it going to be a situation where you're going to start taking care of yourself and also spreading the word to whoever might be going through it health wise? Showing out, meaning that if someone was in a bad relationship, say they got with someone that they shouldn't have, and God didn't approve it, and then all of a sudden you meet the love of your life that God put his approval stamp on, how are you going to show out? Other than showing people that you love this person, are you going to go and start mentoring other couples on, you know, how to stay rooted and stay in line with God's will? Hmm. Are you going to educate others that may need you? How are you going to show out? How? Is it going to be a situation where um, maybe somebody talked you into doing something that was stupid, like making a purchase that you knew you couldn't afford, talking you into it, and then when you got all entangled in, you couldn't even handle the payment. You ended up financially unable to take care of yourself. And then God came through with your breakthrough. And now you're able to um, do some things. The purchase you couldn't make before, you can make now. Are you going to show out by telling people your testimony, but also extending your hand to inform others on what you've been through to help them make their decisions? And that's what came to me. How are you going to show out? And also, it can be continuous education so you can educate the next person. How are you going to show out? And also, here's another one. What is the sacrifice you are going to make for God? That's the big thing right there. What is the sacrifice you are going to make for God? In the Bible, there are countless people who made sacrifices to God. Countless people. And they did that to show God how much they respect Him, appreciate Him, worship Him, bow down to Him. How are you going to show out to Him? How will you ensure that your actions reflect the gratitude you feel in your heart? hmm How will you express your appreciation to God for the help that He provided you? The fact of the matter is, He came through when nobody else did or could. He is the Almighty. So that's something for you to think about, you know, because you have a lot of people nowadays that because they have been through so much, and towards the end of the breakthrough, it's like you just got to take a breather. But some people God delivered and they became bitter because they felt like um, it's too late, or now that I got what's due to me, I'm not going to help the next person. And that's not how it's supposed to go. That is not how it's supposed to go. So that's something for you to think about. How are you going to show out for God? This is a short episode, so that's just something for you to write down and think about. And email me with your thoughts on how are you going to show out. How are you going to show out? That's it for today. Sign up for a session. Check me out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, click the notification. Check out my store. For suggested topics, email me. Later.